it seems like all that talk about a second Trump term, all those what-if conversations we had weren't just hypothetical after all.
Yeah, seems like it.
He's back in the White House. And, well, he's already making some pretty big moves. Remember how we talked about the potential impact on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives?
Yeah, definitely. And it seems those predictions weren't too far off, huh? We're seeing a very, just decisive turn of events, I guess. Trump is taking aim at those DEI programs, both at the federal level and beyond.
Yeah, it seems like right out of the gate, he's ended all federal DEI programs. And not only that, he revoked that 60-year-old equal employment opportunity rule. And this is huge, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think for this deep dive, let's take a look at what exactly these actions mean, for the U.S., but also what could the ripple effects be for you, the listener, no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, makes sense. But I think it's important to start with, just understanding what DEI actually, entails. What does it mean? Really, it's about creating a more inclusive and equitable workplace. It's about recognizing and valuing those individual differences and aiming to, kind of level the playing field for everyone.
So it's not just about ticking boxes or hitting quotas.
No, not at all. It's more about, fostering a culture of respect and belonging.
Right.
Where, everyone feels valued and has the opportunity to thrive. But, DEI has become a target, of some significant pushback recently. I mean, we've seen lawsuits challenging its legality, right? And, you've got conservative think tanks like the Cato Institute and groups like Free Black Thought. They've voiced concerns about its effectiveness and also the potential for, reverse discrimination.
Yeah. So there's a real debate brewing here. I'm just curious. Have you personally encountered any DEI initiatives, in your workplace? And if so, what was your experience like? I'm really interested in how these programs are, actually being implemented and how they're perceived on the ground,
Yeah, I've seen a real mix, to be honest. Some organizations have just embraced DEI wholeheartedly, but others, I think, have adopted a more a more surface level approach. I think the effectiveness really hinges on whether there's genuine buy-in and a commitment to creating real change, real systemic change.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's get into the specifics of what Trump has actually done. Ending federal DEI programs is one thing, but revoking that equal employment opportunity rule, that seems like a major step, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This rule was put in place by President Johnson way back in 1965. It was a direct response to the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I remember learning about the Civil Rights Act in school. But how did it fall short when it came to protecting workers?
Well, the original act was, it was groundbreaking in its fight against discrimination, but it didn't specifically cover federal employees.
Oh, I see.
And this rule aimed to close that loophole. So it ensured that federal contractors, and that's a significant portion of the workforce, they were also protected. Okay,
so let me see if I understand this. Imagine you're applying for a job. And instead of being judged on your skills and experience, they're discriminating against you based on your race, gender, religion, whatever. That's the scenario that this rule was designed to prevent, right?
Precisely. It aimed to, just level the playing field, make sure that everyone had a fair shot, regardless of their background. And this is exactly why, it's being revoked has raised so many concerns.
And of course, the Trump administration has a very different perspective on all of this, right?
Yeah.
They argue that these DEI programs actually promote what they call illegal discrimination, and they advocate for a merit-based hiring system instead.
That's right. They believe that focusing on diversity can, lead to unfair advantages for certain groups, and that hiring should be based solely on qualifications.
And Trump's executive order, it really lays out this stance. It states that the U.S. is committed to, and I quote, protecting the civil rights of all Americans and to promoting individual initiative, excellence, and hard work.
Right.
That quote really highlights, I think, the core of their argument, right?
Yeah.
That DEI initiatives can actually undermine fairness and meritocracy.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's interesting, though, because there have been several lawsuits filed that are actually challenging the legality of DEI programs.
Oh, that's right.
Some argue that these initiatives actually create a form of reverse discrimination, disadvantaging individuals who aren't part of those minority groups.
Okay, and there's also the argument that, DEI can stifle free speech, creating pressure to conform to certain viewpoints.
Right.
And these lawsuits are, they're adding fuel to the fire and creating a much more complex legal landscape, I think, for DEI.
So this begs the question, for you listening, where do you stand on this? Is there a valid concern that DEI can lead to, unintended negative consequences? Or is this move a step backward in the fight for equality? I mean, this is a really crucial point for discussion as we move forward.
Yeah, it's a really tough question. And it's all happening with some other big things going on too. Remember the Supreme Court's decision to ban affirmative action in college admissions.
Oh yeah, that was a big one. It definitely shook things up. And we've already seen some big companies like Meta, Ford, Walmart. They're starting to scale back their own DEI programs.
Yeah, it seems like there's this growing trend, I guess, towards, reevaluating DEI initiatives and even dialing them back in some cases. You know what? Let's move beyond just the theory here for a sec. Let's talk about the real world impact of Trump's executive order. What's actually happening right now?
Well, things have been moving fast, Federal employees, the ones in those DEI roles, they've been placed on leave. And then DEI programs are getting scrubbed from government agencies. And contracts related to DEI, well, they're being terminated left and right.
Wow. It's been swift, that's for sure. And decisive. I mean, it raises a lot of questions about what's next, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the potential consequences here, the things we need to be aware of?
Well, a lot of experts are worried that this could have a chilling effect on discrimination cases.
Yeah.
It might make it harder for workers to come forward with complaints if they feel like, the government isn't really prioritizing this issue anymore.
Right. And then there's the whole issue of the Department of Labor. They might have less power now to investigate these workplace discrimination claims. I mean, yeah, the Civil Rights Act is still there, but this move could weaken how it's actually applied. You know what I mean? Especially for people working for those federal contractors.
Yeah, so it's almost like this domino effect, right? The rule itself, it targeted federal contractors. But now this shift in attitude from the government, it could influence private businesses to follow suit.
Yeah, I think that's a valid concern, and we're already seeing some companies moving in that direction, like we said. I mean, this executive order, it could give them, almost like a green light to reduce their DEI efforts even more, even if they're not legally required to.
Right. Okay, so how does all of this play out on the global stage? The U.S. has always been seen as a champion of human rights and equality, right?
Yeah.
What kind of message does this send to the rest of the world?
Yeah, it's definitely raising eyebrows, internationally, I mean. Some people see it as, a sign that the U.S. is backing down on its commitment to these values. Maybe they're retreating towards a more, nationalistic stance.
And could this have actual consequences for international relations or even business dealings?
Oh, absolutely. Other countries might be less likely to partner with a nation that seems to be moving away from inclusivity and equal opportunity. And it could also affect foreign investment, I think. Businesses might hesitate to engage with a country that's seen as less welcoming to diverse talent and perspectives.
So it's not just an internal U.S. matter.
Nope.
This executive order, it has the potential to impact how the whole world sees American values and policies.
Oh, for sure. And it makes you wonder, right, about the U.S.'s commitment to human rights and whether this shift signals a bigger step back from international cooperation on issues of diversity and inclusion.
Okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the history of that equal employment opportunity rule to the potential global impact of getting rid of it. It's a lot to think about, and I'm sure our listeners are buzzing with thoughts and questions right now.
I bet. I mean, as always, we encourage you to keep exploring these issues, dive deeper into those sources we talked about, and you know what? Have some thoughtful conversations. Form your own opinions based on the facts.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the future is shaped by the people who engage, the people who question, the people who dare to imagine a better world. So stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also about, showcasing those other approaches, the best practices out there. Other countries can really show, what are the benefits of having those inclusive policies. They can highlight, the economic advantages, the social advantages of diversity and inclusion, Put it out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not just about, criticizing that.
Right.
It's about offering some, constructive solutions, showing that embracing diversity, it can actually be a strength.
Exactly. And you know what else? It's about supporting those those civil society organizations, individuals within the U.S. who are, they're working to uphold these values, to advance them. International actors can do a lot there, provide funding, resources, give them platforms to amplify their voices, help them keep going with their advocacy.
Right. So it's a multifaceted approach then.
Yeah.
It involves like diplomacy, monitoring, advocacy, and then support for the people who are, right there on the front lines of this whole issue.
Exactly. And I think it's about recognizing that, this isn't just an American issue, it's a global one, right? It demands international attention, collective action. I mean, the world is watching. The choices made in the U.S., they will definitely have ripple effects, far beyond its borders.
Well, listeners, we've taken you on quite a journey today. From the, all of those details about executive orders to the global implications of these U.S. policy shifts. It's a lot to take in. And I'm sure you're probably thinking about a lot of different things right now. You probably have some questions too.
Oh, yeah, I bet. But as always, we encourage you to keep digging into these issues, look at the sources, have those conversations, think it through, and form your own opinions,
Informed ones.
Because at the end of the day, the future is shaped by, by the people who get involved, the people who ask questions, the people who, just dare to imagine a better world. So stay curious out there, stay informed, and stay engaged. Until next time, keep diving deep.